Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenyan Revolutionary for another session. I'm sorry, guys. I've received a couple of emails from people, from friends, asking me when are you gonna go back to the studio so we can have a discussion where we can also come to the studio. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my computer is going through some stuff because it has been compromised. Even this device I'm using is compromised, but I'm working on kind of, you know, getting everything in line so we can have another, sessions where we can, people can come in and be part of discussions. But anyway, there's something I want to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, comrades. As you can see, the topic today is Kenyans need to stop this type of politics. Now, you might be asking yourself, what kind of politics are you talking about, Kenya Revolutionary? I will explain to you. And this session kind of is inspired by the recent events. We've seen the recent events that has happened in Kenya. We see the Martha Karua with her Purple Party, People's Something Liberation Party or whatever, PLP, that was launched yesterday or the day before yesterday or whatever the case is. We heard Wamunyoro Gachagua telling us that he will launch his party very soon, in 2 months' time, in May to be exact, if I still memory serves me right. He will have this party in May. And also we had Eugene Wamalu a few months ago, who had his party launching, whatever the case is. Jubilee came out and told us that, what's his name? Fred Matiangi will be their candidate for 2027. Now, on the surface of it, if we are talking about democracy, there's nothing wrong with the party launches and people choosing whichever way they want to, starting a party and, associating themselves politically and forming a party for 2027. They have the democratic right to do so, even to run for president. Anybody can, as long as they meet chapter 6, chapter 10, and all that stuff, okay? Constitution requisite that is required for one to run for president. But there's one thing I want us to quickly analyze. Before I do that, please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Like, share, comment, and do all the good stuff, okay? Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. As soon as you get in here, please hit the like button, all right? And subscribe, share, comment, and share it in your political party, political groups, WhatsApp groups, or whatever the case is, your social media. Now, what kind of politics am I talking about, ladies and gentlemen? In most of this, what I hear from a lot of people, the discussions that I hear from a lot of people, and I want to, it's a common kind of cry. Not cry as far as people are crying like boo-boo, with their eyes and ears and tears. That's not what I mean. I mean, there's this whole talk about people coming together to remove Ruto. And, I was kind of in agreement with Ruto today, believe it or not. A man that I loathe with every fiber of my being, politically speaking. I don't know him personally to say that I hate him, but I don't like him politically speaking. But I kind of agreed with him in one of his speech that he gave earlier today or yesterday. He says something. He said that, I was watching that party launch by Martha Karua. And the main theme was, how do we remove Ruto? How do we remove Ruto? That is the main theme. Let's organize and agonize in order to remove Ruto. And I kept on thinking to myself, Kenya, we kind of play the same game. It's the same game that we play. And what kind of game do we play? We always rally around and try to entrust these political elites in the name of coming together to remove the villain of the day. The villain being the executive, the head of the executive, the president of the day. Let me show you what I mean. In 2002, the rallying call, the clarion call, so to speak, the general ethos was, let's get Moi out. It's been 24 years. This guy has been repressive, depressive, and all the essive that you can mention. And the rallying call was to remove Moi. We never thought about maybe the problem might have been deeper than just the personnel. Now, we removed Moi and Kibaki came in. Kibaki came in, and mid his first term, there was problems in Paradise. And he became the villain, replacing Moi. And by 2007, again, we Kenyans being herded by none other than these political elites led by Raila Odinga in 2007. We were meant to believe that Kibaki was to be removed so we can have a new progressive Kenya. And indeed, Kibaki was defeated, but we know what happened. The likes of Martha Karua were busy, defiantly, valiantly defended Kibaki's defeat. In fact, they ended up swearing him in at midnight. We know what happened after that. There was chaos, but we had a government of national unity. After the government of national unity, Kibaki was the villain, Raila the prime minister. Raila kept on complaining about Kibaki's government. We were told that, Raila didn't have real powers as the head of the ministerial positions, somebody who's supposed to kind of head of ministries. He fired Ruto and others and so forth, but the real power still lied with Kibaki. Kibaki was the villain up until he left. And so Raila tried his hand again in 2013, but he was defeated again through, rigging and all that stuff, right? We remember that. Kenyatta came in and became president. Soon after, Uhuru Ruto regime came in. Again, Kenyatta quickly became the villain from day one. The Jubilee government, the TNA government at the time. He became the villain. And again, we were here doing the same thing, saying the same thing, talking about rallying around to remove the villain of the day, who was Uhuru Kenyatta. And we gathered, it was never about reforming the system. Even as we brought the 2010 constitution, the new constitution, it was never implemented. The TRJC, Truth and Reconciliation recommendations were never implemented. Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta never respected the constitution, and we still had the same kind of behavior that we saw from Moi, even from Kenyatta 1, and even Kibaki. It was a continuation of that very system that we abhorred, that we fought so hard to reform. The problem is we never really identify the underlying problem in Kenya. Instead, we concentrated on the personnel. We falsely believed that if we were only to remove Uhuru Kenyatta, we would have a better Kenya, that Uhuru Kenyatta was the problem. We falsely believe that only if we remove Moi, we would have a better Kenya. We falsely believed that if we remove Kibaki, we would have a better Kenya. By 2017, we all know what happened. The same shenanigans. There was all this drama about Uhuru Kenyatta tried to rig himself and the handshake that followed. Again, Uhuru maintained power after all said and done. Raila was in the government. Okay, the same trick he's doing today. But regardless, Uhuru was serving his second term. And again, we started rallying around talking about Uhuru amalize aende. Amalize aende. Okay? Shukran Shi Mariam, nice seeing you. Usininyime like jamani. Shukran. Aya. So we believe again falsely that only if Uhuru Kenyatta finishes his term, his second term, okay, we'll have a better Kenya. Uhuru tu akitoka hivi, we shall have a new president that will help us, usher us to a new Kenya. And indeed, we had a new president in William Samoei Ruto, after he promised us heaven on earth, telling us all the good things that he was going to do in 6 months, the first 100 days. You know the drill. Again, the underlying problems were never addressed. The system was fundamentally corrupt. But in our naivete, we thought that removing Uhuru Kenyatta and bringing in Ruto will solve the problem. And so we brought Kasongo. And Kasongo, within the first 2 years of his presidency, we saw there was no huge change. In fact, he was doing exactly what Uhuru was doing. He was doing exactly what Kibaki was doing. He was doing exactly what Moi was doing. He was doing exactly what Johnston Kamau, aka Jomo Kenyatta, was doing. No change. Corruption, abduction, assassinations, nepotism, tribalism. Okay? Compromised judicial system. All arms of government still under the direction of the executive, Ruto. All the instruments of power, all the independent bodies that are supposed to be independent governmental bodies are still in command, commanded by Ruto. You see what I'm saying? So now here we are approaching 2027, and again, we haven't learned our lesson. We are here, most of us, if you look at the other channels or the mainstream media, we are just concentrated on the personnel. Oh, if we can only remove Ruto, Kenya shall get to where it's supposed to be. Ruto is the problem. Let's remove Ruto. Let's get together so we can remove Ruto. That's why I'm saying I agreed with Ruto when he said that when he was watching that launch, Martha Karua party launch, the topic was about removing Ruto. They were mentioning all the bad things Ruto has done, which is fine. But it was only, the concentration was only about removing the personnel, the person, Ruto, from that executive. You see what I'm saying? If you look at the pundits, they were talking about, oh, let's come together, let's all rally around and remove Ruto. We shall solve all our problems in Kenya if we just remove Ruto. It's the same kind of argument we argued before Kenyatta left. It's the same argument we had before Moi left. It was the same argument we had before Kibaki left. that we only need to change a change in personnel. We only need to remove Ruto, then our problem shall be solved and we shall live happily ever after. Don't get me wrong. Removing Ruto will be a plus, but I'm telling you, it will not solve any of the problems we have in Kenya. Not even one. Because listen, again, let's be analytical about this. Let's analyze this whole Martha Karua People's Party launch. I'm not going to talk about the colors because that's not really important. Well, it is important because, you know, that color it's a feminine color. It's associated with the, you know, the LGBTQ, but I don't want to get there. Some people even suggest that Martha Karua might be a member of the LGBT, but that's not the point. There are 10 people here. People, please hit the like button. I need like 10 likes, please. Like. But I want to drive this home, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades. I want us to be a little bit wise. Let's be wise. Let's be wise, okay? Let's be wise. Okay? I personally don't believe we should go to 2027 with this current setup. We shouldn't. We should not. But before I even get to my point, I want to just focus on this Martha Karua situation. Like I mentioned, Jimmy Wanjigi got there, Morara, who else spoke? Was it Kalonzo, Gachagua, everybody, name it. Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua. The main thesis was, let's get Kasongo out. Let's remove William Samoei Ruto. That was the thesis. That was the main agenda. And to me, again, I repeat, we are making the same mistake we've done over and over and over and over again. Number one, let's just be real. All of those people at that People's Liberation Party, Martha Karua's rebranded NAK Kenya party, all, and I'm talking about all of them who gave a speech there with the exception of maybe Morara, all of them at one point, all of them, and I don't mean even, I'm talking about all of them, they had taken part. They had served in the previous regime. They had been members of parliament. They held ministerial positions. They had some capacity in the previous administrations. The previous administration, which the very people of Kenya, loathed and considered a failed, corrupt regime that we even told the Kenyan people, let's unite so we can remove them. You hear what I'm saying? Should I repeat what I'm saying? I will repeat just so you can get it. Please like the video. I'm just concentrating on something else, ladies and gentlemen. Please give me a second. But I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying is this. Everyone that spoke at that Martha Karua PLP launch or rebranding of the NAK Kenya, okay? Everyone that was there had been, especially the main speakers in that organization, in that event, were men and women who had taken part in the previous administration, previous administrations that were the villains, that were rejected by Kenya. Do I make myself clear, ladies and gentlemen? Do I make myself clear? Let me use an example. Martha Karua worked for Kibaki. She was number one. Her number one sin, before even we get far, Martha Karua's number one sin, the biggest unforgivable sin that Martha Karua committed before anything, was to defend the elections of 2007. And again, this lady has never apologized for her role on what took place. Now we can sit there and blame the Rutos and the Hurus for, the actual atrocities that ensued afterwards. Martha Karua is who triggered all this. She was the lady who stood there and told Kenyans in a bold-faced lie, telling Kenyans that Kibaki won the 2007. Again, it's not up for a debate. The 2007 elections is not up for debate. Kibaki lost fair and square. We know he rigged, and his rigging is what triggered what followed. And for that, Martha Karua, being part of that regime and strongly, vehemently, defending the thievery, the stolen election by Kibaki, which triggered post-election violence, she should be held accountable for that. So you see, Martha Karua, being part of a regime, an illegitimate regime that was rejected by Kenyans in the past, today in 2025, has rebranded herself by wearing a purple kitenge, blocks, and painted the building purple, a rented building purple, wants to make us believe that if she was to become the head of state, she will operate differently. While she presided over a regime that let Turkish drug dealers run amok in Kenya, people getting abducted and killed, while she was part of Kibaki's regime that was doing the very things she's now claiming to be fighting against. Another speaker is Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi spoke passionately. He even praised the Gen Zs, talking about, the Gen Zs revolutionized the politics of Kenya. While that might be true, I think it is important for us to ask, to ask Jimmy Wanjigi, how did you make your wealth? How did you come up with that wealth? I told you again, this is a man who bragged and told us that the cabinet of Uhuru Ruto was created, was formed in his house. That gives you a glimpse of the proximity in which this man is close to the very corrupt political elite. His father did business with Moi and even Kenyatta, and that's how they made their billions. So would you trust this person who has been a beneficiary of a corrupt system, who had made his billions in this corrupt system, to lead the country? Do you think he has the same interest as you, the local mwananchi? Rigathi Gachagua. It's so funny because even Martha Karua used to criticize Rigathi Gachagua and this Ruto's regime for withdrawing the corruption cases that were pending, corruption cases against Rigathi Gachagua. We know he's a corrupt man. We know the kind of atrocities he committed in Molo against the people of Mlima. But oh no, 2025 is a year of rebranding. All of a sudden, up until 6 months ago, he got impeached. All of a sudden, he's this guy who we are looking at as the guy to deal with Ruto. He's the shining armor. He's the defender of the weak. Right? We are buying into that. Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka was the vice president of who? Was it Kibaki? Foreign minister for Moi? Okay. Defended these past regimes, oppressive regimes that Kenyan rejected. But again, it's a year of rebranding. Here he is, he's telling us, oh, we should even make June 25th be a public holiday. Really? Now he wants to associate himself with the Gen Zs. He's seen the light. While he was in the Mandamano, riding on Raila Odinga's coattails. You see what I'm saying? Matiang'i, he wasn't present yesterday at Martha Karua's launch, but he is one of those who will part of the coalition. This man was as vicious as a hungry hyena when he was dealing with protesters in 2017. To this day, Matiang'i has cases in court for Ruaraka land grabbing. To this case, there are cases that he has failed to obey court orders, show up in court as ordered by the courts. He directed the forces that gunned down youth in Kondele in 2017. Bodies in Rivayala. But oh no, it's 2025, the year of rebranding. These are the people that you hear your pundits in the main street media telling you that they should come together and choose one of them to go and defeat William Samoei Ruto. And then after they win, we shall sing Kumbaya and Kenya shall be transformed. Need I tell you about Raila Amolo Odinga? Where do I start with Raila Odinga? I don't even know. You tell me. Handshake 2017, Government of National Unity in 2008, broad-based government in 2024. So you believe if Raila Odinga becomes president and we remove Ruto, we shall have a new transformed Kenya? Yeah? What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, is that we like choosing a villain. We get a president, someone who we know very well has a history of taking part actively in oppressing Kenyans in the previous regimes. But once they fall off with the previous oppressive regime or the current one, all of a sudden we want to embrace them as men and women who will transform Kenya. Men and women who will remove the current president. I can't repeat this enough. Ruto is not the problem. William Samoei Ruto is not the problem. I know you're looking at me and saying, what about the atrocities that has been committed under Ruto's regime? I keep on telling you, it is a system that has been perpetuated that is allowing lawlessness, extrajudicial killing, unconstitutional way of conducting affairs. That's why it produces people like Ruto. And instead of us addressing that, we only address the change of personnel, the person at the top. That's why I mentioned, even if you put Martha Karua today, Matiang'i, Raila Odinga, you shall have the same results. The same. Nothing will change. Nothing will change at all. There'll still be corruption. There'll be tribalism. There'll be extrajudicial killing. That's why I told you, all of these people that you saw at that Purple Liberation Party, they're people who presided over a regime that was doing the very things they're accusing Ruto of. But they're rebranding themselves. Now they're the Messiah. And next Tuesday, don't be surprised if they join hands with Raila Odinga. And guess what? The gullible masses shall be told this. This will be the narrative. It is important that we remove Ruto. We held consultative meetings and we are coming together in order to stop Ruto, because Ruto is driving us on a ditch and he has to be removed. So we need to take him out. That is what they will tell you. But what you fail to realize is this, that they're trying to keep the power, maintain power well within this cabal of the political elite. They're keeping it within themselves. They cannot let anyone outside of their WhatsApp group. Now, you'll sit there and ask me the obvious questions that I get asked all the time, and I'm sick of answering it. But I will answer it because some people might be confused. You'll sit there and ask me, well, what do we do then? Because these are the only leaders that we have. The Matiang'is, the Moraras, the Kasmuels, the Martha Karuas. Those are the people that we have. That's the Kalonzos. Those are the only alternatives that we have. No, they're not the only ones. We have two options. Okay? Ruto must be removed. Yes, I agree with you. He has to be removed. But we shouldn't stop there, because we have two options. I hear some people say, maybe we should have a coup d'etat in Kenya. Military should wafanya ile kitu. let me tell you something. Having a military coup d'etat does not guarantee you to have a leader like Ibrahim Traore. Just because the military takes over, you might end up with a Ibrahim Traore, or you might end up with a Yoweri Museveni. Remember, Yoweri Museveni also took power militarily through a coup d'etat, military coup d'etat. And given the history of the military generals in Kenya, okay, Martin Ngatia, okay, an old wise man who passed on. I think he was based in somewhere in Scandinavia, Sweden or something. Rest in peace. He told us that Uhuru Kenyatta used the military in 2013 to help him rig the elections. There were military folks who showed up at the IBC KICC center where the counting was taking place. You understand what I'm saying? Are you listening to what I'm saying? These were military men, generals actually, who were aligned, closely aligned to Uhuru Kenyatta. They were of the same tribe. And they were getting part of the tenders that the government was issuing. Okay? Now, are you doubting that? Ask yourself, what was the role of General Ogola in 2022 general elections? Apparently, whether you believe Raila Odinga or Kasongo, he was at KICC, though with not uniform, but he was there. What was his role when he showed up at the IBC? What was he supposed to do? What was his business as a general in the military? You see what I'm saying? What I'm trying to suggest here is this. The top generals of Kenya are just as political as anybody else. And majority of them are aligned to the ruling class. They are aligned to the president of the day. You wonder why, with all this stuff that is happening, Kasongo being unpopular, why hasn't there been a military intervention? Why? That also brings us to who might have had a hand in General Ogola's untimely death, which was said to be an accident. I don't think it was an accident. Somebody did something, wanted to get rid of him. We were promised, we were given 5 months after his death. We were told that after 5 months, they were going to release the report surrounding the cause of death in General Ogola's untimely death, accident. Until this day, to this day, we haven't had any reports from government or from the military. The point I'm trying to make again is that the Kenyan generals, top generals, or military generals, are usually closely aligned or are allies of the ruling regime, the head of the state. When Uhuru was president, the first thing he did, he made sure that he had members of his tribe as the top generals to be closely aligned with him, because he understood there was a possibility given the fact that he was greatly rejected, especially in 2017, that there was a possibility of a coup d'etat. That also brings you to that. In fact, I made a video on that. Go check it back there. My old videos, I made a video about the actual general with his name that handed power to Uhuru Kenyatta. That's why Uhuru Kenyatta survived. That's why the death of General Ogola is marred with a lot of confusion, because it reveals that there was an attempt of a military intervention indirectly in a democratic civilian political process. That's why this answers your question. Depending on the military may not guarantee a total overhaul of a corrupt system. You might have the military take over, but like in many, many instances in countries in Africa, the generals always turn out to be corrupt. We see that in Sudan. We've seen that with Uganda, with Museveni. Okay? So just because the generals, if they take over civilian government, it does not guarantee that you will have a democratic country. Now, that is option one that Kenya has, going through the general way if the military decides to take over power, which I have actually cancelled it to say that it's not, most likely it's not going to happen. Remember, there's some video that I made and I told you when I mentioned that Miguna advised, in his tweet actually, advised Ruto to switch up the military, aweke watu wake, so that he can guarantee his safety, because there seems to be a lot of matungamano that can lead to him being taken out by the military. And soon after Miguna wrote that tweet, in fact, a day after that, after Miguna's tweet, there was reshuffling in Ninio, and that's when General Ogola was promoted and other generals, okay? But unfortunately, we know what happened afterwards. Now, let's get out of the general part of it. Let's assume that the military, as it stands, will not intervene in the Kenyan civilian political affairs, because Ruto probably, he's not a silly man. Call him anything you want, but Ruto is not a stupid man. He was not born yesterday. He's a canny, smart son of a gun, okay? So do not underestimate it and underestimate Ruto under any circumstance. Do not underestimate him. So he understands the general setup of the military, and he knows that if the things went left, they might take him out or they might ask him to step down. So he knows how to play this game. So to me, I would close that option and say it's not an option to take out Ruto that way. Because number one, he doesn't guarantee us getting an Ibrahim Traore, and number two, Ruto probably has summoned the top military Kalenjin officials, generals, or military men, have them on standby and told them, hey, listen, in case things goes left as far as the civilian life is concerned, please be ready to, defend me. So what other option is left? The only other option that is left is the people rising up to take out Ruto, to demand that Ruto leaves. Not only Ruto, but a total overhaul of the system. It is important for you to understand this. June 25th, what many of you fail to understand, June 25th was not only significant because Parliament was invaded. The invasion of the Kenyan Parliament signified the illegitimacy of this current legislative body. The mace was taken and the people invaded the building, showing the world that they did not have any trust on this arm of government that they delegated this power to. That is the significance of the June 25th. That's why someone might argue that legally, any law that was made and passed after June 25th is null and void. Why? Because the people already nullified, expressed to the whole nation and to the world that they do not, the power that they delegated to the legislative body was taken back in June 25th, 2004, and therefore any legislative bill that was introduced after June 25th is null and void, because the people took back the power that they gave, that they expressed indirectly through these representatives. But in June 25th, they took it back. That's why it was very significant if the people were to go on and go to the State House. You understand what I'm saying? That was the importance, the significance of what happened in June 25th. You understand what I'm saying? So, why do I say that the Gen Z, what they did in June 25th, if it can be repeated, and this time, it should be no going home until the work is done, the Bangladeshi way. Because listen, the Gen Z exposed something that has never been exposed in Kenya. They exposed the weakness of these political elites. They exposed how brittle Ruto's power is. You might be asking why. Why do you say that? Just think about it. Think about it this way. This guy, that day, especially remember when people went to the airport? He sent all of his army at the airport. Sorry, all of the police forces. I don't know how many of them. Some of them were brought from Nakuru, Uwapi, Eldoret, were flown from Mombasa to the airport, JKIA. Only for some of them to go to the CBD, the people to go to the CBD. And the police in the CBD had to surrender. They were overwhelmed. In fact, they were running for their lives. It took the military, he had to call in the military to quell things up. And guess what the military did? They did something unprecedented in the history of Kenya. When they got there, the military started high-fiving the wananchi. In fact, the military people were telling the police, do not tear gas the wananchi. Do not tear gas the wananchi. Okay? Do not tear gas the wananchi. Which was an embarrassment. Actually, it sent chills in Ruto's spine, because he was expecting the military to get there and start brutalizing wananchi the way the police brutalizes wananchi by throwing tear gas and roughing up people. But the military got there and they started high-fiving people. In fact, they even, accompanied the young folks, the protesters, back to their neighborhoods. And they were exchanging pleasantries, hailing one another, speaking. There were songs, people saying, wako na sisi, tunataka military, majeshi wako na sisi. You understand what I'm saying? Ruto was worried. It exposed how brittle this regime is. June 25th, and that day in JKIA, the Kenyan people exposed how flimsy, how weak Ruto is. If you don't have the will of the people, you lack legitimacy. You are at their mercy. That's why he had to go shake hands with Raila Odinga so that Raila Odinga can use his influence, his goons from Kibera and other places, and brought those Junjaweed from Sudan and some of them from Uganda police officers to come down and gun down anyone that was going to Mandamano after that, because he was embarrassed. But listen to me, folks. Listen to me very carefully. The threat was not only on Ruto. The threat was bigger than just a threat to Ruto regime. The threat was to the whole political elites of Kenya, because the people demonstrated that power can be taken back to the people. And all these shenanigans of Purple People's Party, TNA, ODM, Jubilee, UDA, Kenya Kwanza, Azimio, all this mchezo wa hawa politicians can be brought to a halt by the people. That is what was exposed that day. And that spirit needs to remain in order to win this struggle. The people of Kenya, the people, Gen Z, Gen Zote, if they can only come and assemble like they did on that very day in June 25th, and bring down Ruto, the whole legislative body, and choose new people as their representative. And the new people that are going to be chosen have to be people who are clean, who are never involved in the previous regimes. Whether it was Johnston Kinyanjui Kamau's regime, Toroitich's regime, Emilio's regime, Uhuru's regime, Ruto regime. You cannot be part of it to be in the next people's Nenio. That way, the constitution remains sacrosanct, the only Bible, what we live by, and not any individual. So stop before you ask, oh, who should we vote for? Because we have all these choices. Let me tell you something. All these choices that you see are all in one WhatsApp group. That's why you had Martha Karua in JKL saying, Ruto is my brother. Oh, so your brother was presided over the killing of the Gen Zs, and you call him brother? I remember Martha Karua when you went to one of the Mandamano pretending to be part of the Gen Zs. You were wearing jeans and the tight clothes to be seen that you're supporting Gen Zs. Oh, now Ruto is your brother. Remember, he's the one who was sending those police forces to shoot down Gen Zs. Now at JKL, you're saying Ruto is your brother. Oh, after you accuse him of bringing Uganda mercenaries to come gun down Gen Zs using toxic chemicals. that purple gas that was being used on Gen Zs. Oh, Ruto is your brother, Martha Karua. You said Gachagua is your brother, the guy who killed Kikuyus in Neo, Molo, 1992. The guy who is corrupt, who you told us that his cases were withdrawn after they won power. Oh, now he's your brother, Martha Karua. Oh, Raila is your big brother. Conman Thiringenye. Ah, who has entered into handshakes, I don't know how many handshakes. The corrupt Raila Odinga. Oh, now he's your brother, Martha Karua, eh? Ah, really? You want to join hands with Matiang'i? Matiang'i was sending the police forces to dump bodies into River Yala. The Mungiki-led police who infiltrated the police under Uhuru Kenyatta and Maina Njenga. Oh, he's your brother now. Really, Martha Karua, with your purple outfit? Really? He's your brother now. Yeah? Hii ndio siasa mnataka kupiga hapa Kenya. Ati mnajiita brother na mnaua watu. You see this thing? Listen. For those of you who want to go to 2027, let me assure you that you're going to lose. I think I heard there's a bill that is being passed. Mnasikia? Inataka kuletwa kwa introduced in the legislative body. I don't know the name of the bill, but it's called, basically the essence of it is, wakishashinda, mtu akishashinda, whoever become president, they don't have to have a ceremony where the sword is being passed to the next ninio. So for example, Ruto akishindwa, and he's supposed to pass that sword to the next ninio, to the next president, he doesn't have to show up to pass that sword. That is basically what that ninio, that bill is saying. So you come Shaski about that bill. I heard it's been discussed in the ninio, in the cabinet. It's about to be introduced in the parliament. Basically saying that si lazima wa hold that ceremony ya kuenda ku pass power, to pass that. Ushasikia hiyo bill? Okay, I'll keep you in on that. You see what I'm saying? You had Raila Odinga. Did you hear Raila Odinga leo? Mlimsikia Raila Odinga? I don't know if he was in Homa Bay or whatever. He was like, hey, sasa nimekuja, sisi ODM. We shall consult the people. Nasikia watu hapa kwa kiwanja. Sisi ODM hatutazungushwa huku na huku. Aya. Same bull crap that we already predicted after he was going to lose the AU seat. So we discussed this one here, sindio? What is he doing right now? Same. On Tuesday, utasikia. Let me tell you something. Listen, let me not hold you. On Tuesday, Raila will come up and tell you, I've consulted with Wamunyoro, with the people of Central, and we've decided to work together leading up to 2027. And you guys will be, hey, Baba is back, Baba is back. In fact, he even said today, he was like, I am back. Sin Baba Merudi. Hey, Sin Baba Merudi. Did you hear him saying in his video today? Did you hear his speech? Was it in Migori or whatever the case he was today? Sin Baba Merudi. Baba Merudi. Sasa ODM hatutakuwa tukizungushwa hivi, hatufuati watu hivi. You hear that nonsense? Na nyinyi mtarudi nyuma yao. Wacha on Tuesday akuja aseme ati atafanya kazi na Rigathi Gachagua. Because guess what? Let me tell you something to think about. Let me say something to marinate on. Can you imagine if the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, is aende ile kesi yake and ipatikane kwamba Rigathi Gachagua should be reinstated because he was removed unconstitutionally, so he should be reinstated as the deputy of Kenya. Okay? Alafu Rigathi ashikane na Raila Odinga waseme okay, 2027 we shall work together against Ruto. All you people mtarudia Raila nyinyi watu mnazungumza mnasema ati Raila. Sasa wale mashabiki wa Munyoro na mashabiki wa Raila Odinga watashikana pamoja. And they'll be like, hey, wameshikana watoe Ruto. That's how they play these games. That's why I'm telling you guys, don't fall for this nonsense. Do not fall for this nonsense. Mnazungushwa hivi, walinyu mna argue. Listen, anyone who talks to you about that is sijui Matiang'i, sijui hawa kina Morara, Martha Karua should come together, then wachague mtu mmoja ambaye atatoa Kasongo. Anybody who says that is an imbecile, is an idiot. Idiot. Don't listen to him or her. It's either he's an idiot or is a paid person to say that, to advance this nonsense, to keep this power within these political elites. Anyone, I will repeat this, I'm helping you. Anyone who comes up and tell you that hawa wakina Martha Karua, sijui Gachagua, what's his name, Matiang'i, Kalonzo, sijui Morara, washikane alafu wachague mtu mmoja, alafu wasupport huyo mtu mmoja ndiye ashinde Kasogo. Anyone who tells you that is either a stupid, irredeemably stupid person or is working for the regime. Let me tell you why. The reason why I tell you that is because that is exactly what Ruto wants. Because hata mkishikana mweke Martha Karua hapo, they will not win. Ruto has, the system is rigged. That's why I'm telling you, anyone who comes and tell you that ati hao kina Raila washikane na Marara na sijui Karua na sijui Gachagua na Matiang'i na Kalonzo na sijui I don't know who ndio watoe Kalonzo, watoe nanio Kasongo, Ruto, that person is the most stupid person in the whole history of humanity. I'm telling you that. That is a person who is do not even paying him attention. Huyo ni mtu mjinga sana. It's either that or that person is working for these political elites. He's part of the system. He's an NIS agent who has come to bring confusion. Either two. So muangalia watu vizuri. Because no one in their right mind in 2025 can sit down and say, we need Matiang'i. Let's vote for Matiang'i. Or we should vote for Martha Karua. No one in his right mind can say that People's Party with the purple color will beat Ruto. No one in their right mind in 2025 can come tell us Raila Odinga can beat Ruto in 2027, and Raila Odinga is the person who we can depend on and trust. No one in their right mind can come in and tell us that Kalonzo Musyoka, that chameleon, watermelon, can come and win elections so we can vote for him, so he's the one who's going to remove Kasongo. To watch him chezo. Let's stop this nonsense. Listen to me. Stop this nonsense. Nyinyi, the Karua purple idiots. Skia nyinyi, you idiots who went there to the purple bullcrap. Wacheni ujinga. Wacheni ushenzi. You are confusing the masses. Martha Karua is being paid by Ruto. Go listen to Devin D and Ninio when you exposed them. He was receiving money to Ruto. You wonder why he's calling Kasongo. He was in JKL, called Ruto my brother. I was shocked. I fell off my seat. It took me 5 hours before I got up. This woman is exposing herself as a total sellout. Conman Raila Odinga 2.0. And you are lapping these lies. These are people who work for the government. These are people who work for the government. These people who are coming up wanakuambia Raila. These are what people who are working for the government. Ruto has to be removed through a popular revolution. That's the only way. Because if you remove him through the popular revolution, the only way we shall be holding the next person who will be voted in will be accountable by the rules and the laws that are set well within the Constitution of Kenya. If you put Matiang'i there, Matiang'i will do everything Ruto is doing and even more. Because Matiang'i has proved that he has done it. When he was under Uhuru Kenyatta, he was doing that. So hawa watu Jimmy Wanjigi, Gachagua, Karua, Kalonzo, Wamalwa, wote wanafanyia serikali, wanalipwa na Ruto. That's why Ruto was laughing at them, was saying, uliwaona wale wajinga jana, they were just talking about me. Because he knows these people, he has paid them personally. What can Ruto akitaka Matiang'i sahi afungwe, anaweza kafunga Matiang'i today. Remember ile kesi vile walianza kesi hapo, akaenda kaingia kwa DCI, hata Raila akaenda kumtetea Matiang'i. Remember that? I made a video about that. Use your brain. These are paid people who are working with Ruto. Martha Karua works with Ruto. Nakwambia, mimi nawaambia. That's why you heard she said, ati mimi I'll support whoever is running for 2020. Because she's not serious about hataki wananchi wakuja wachague. They want to maintain power. Anajifanya mama hapo na hiyo kitenge yake ya shetani. And they're going to join hands with Raila again. Ndio maana Martha Karua was saying, those are my brothers. You cannot, any sane person cannot call a killer of the Gen Zs my brother or my sister. Eh? How can Martha Karua call Ruto a brother? I'll show you that tweet by Devin D. Devin D alianza kuambia ati mnaanza kuniingilia ati mnasema ati mimi nimeona hapa. Wacha niwaeleze. Akaanza kusema mnakumbuka vile Ruto aliwapea pesa wewe Boniface Mwangi na Martha Karua? Milioni sijui ngapi aliwapatia. Lakini mimi nitawagombeza. I'm telling you my friends, mimi siwezi there's no need of lying to you. Mimi nawaambia. Hawa watu wako group moja, Martha Karua. In fact, hata hiyo building ya Papolio ni pesa ya Ruto. These are Ruto minions. Lakini they want to bring this grand coalition. Nawaambia. We can't have a villain every regime. Ikikuja tuko na villain. Kwani Kenya sisi hatuwezi kuchagua mtu ambaye tunataka? Ati mpaka tupewe hao akina mabwenyenye ambao wanabomoa nio. No. Tuache hiyo mchezo. Hii siasa ya ujinga tuache. I repeat, anyone that tells you Raila Odinga or Martha Karua or sijui Matiang'i can be president and we should remove Ruto is an agent of the government or is stupid, irredeemably stupid. Si wadanganyi? Any. Hawa watu wako ni goro moja. I'll leave it here. Hebu subscribe. If you're going to watch this on repeat, subscribe, like, share, comment, do all this good stuff, okay? I'll talk to you guys later. And peace and blessings. I'm out.